Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lounge Podcast. This is not a load on. This is a lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, Senior Lakers Insider for Clutch Points. And today on the show, I'm going to talk about and try to keep my cool while doing so. I'm going to try to talk about this Lakers loss in Minnesota. They are now down 2-1 to a team that has frankly looked better for most of the series. And it's starting to kind of creep up on, or reality is kind of starting to creep up on us that Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes, Jordan Goodwin, like all of these guys who got rotation minutes tonight. Goodwin, I kind of give a bit of a pass to because he was a two-way player earlier in the year. But every other professional basketball player that the Lakers employed outside of LeBron, Luka, and Austin, frankly, need to be fucking embarrassed. Like that game was just, it was right there. And I think JJ also carries some of the burden on that loss as well. Luka was sick, and the Lakers, for some reason, in the beginning of the game, said they were going with the Luka offense while he clearly couldn't even break a sweat. Like he was either so dehydrated or so weak physically that he couldn't break a sweat in this game. So we're going to talk about this loss. We're going to talk about what it means. And you know what? Fuck it. I'll try to start with the bright side view of this one, just so that you guys know that I am capable of removing myself from the frustrations of a playoff loss. I'm going to start with the optimistic view of this, which I just kind of agree with. Let's go through the numbers here. The Lakers turned the ball over 16 times in this game. I think that led to 28 points for Minnesota. Minnesota turned the ball over 8 times. They just don't care about the Lakers defense, or didn't care about the Lakers defense in this one. The Lakers gave up 9 offensive rebounds in this one. That is less than the 7 offensive rebounds than they grabbed. The Lakers at various points in this one, Jordan Goodwin missed a wide open layup. LeBron missed a wide open layup. They shot 13 of 20 from the free throw line in this one. You're talking about just forking over at least what, 10, 12 points at least, when you count the amounts of points that Minnesota kind of gave back to the Lakers at various points. You cannot spot a legitimate playoff contender, and I think Minnesota is a legitimate playoff contender. You can't spot them double digits and expect to win. And you definitely can't do that in a game where Luka is looking the way that he did. And this is the part that pisses me off the most. No. I'm staying positive. The Lakers did all of that, and with 4 minutes to go, it was a tie game. I think at one point they even led late-ish in the game. They had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to win this one, despite playing, again, quite frankly, one of the more frustrating games that I have seen. The missed layups, the mental mistakes on defense. Jared Vanderbilt, what do you do? Honestly, what do you do? Jackson Hayes wasn't good again. Rui Hachimura continues to suck in this series offensively. Dorian Finney-Smith, I don't know if he's going to complain about touches after this one too. We'll find out. But despite everything that I talked about, they had opportunities to win this game on the road in a game that Minnesota knew that it kind of sort of needed, right? And just in terms of needing to carry momentum forward, Minnesota needed this one, I think, more than the Lakers needed this one. And while the Lakers played one of the uglier games that I can honestly recall, a team that I consider good playing, they still presented themselves or gave themselves opportunities to win. So if you're looking for a optimistic view of this one, you can say that the fact that the Lakers still somehow found a way to stay attached to the Minnesota Timberwolves while almost everything that we talked about coming into this one is in terms of swing factors went against them. And Luka Doncic was clearly not himself. If you want to be optimistic, you can say, you know what? You can't imagine so many of these things are going to go against the Lakers again in this same way all over again. I thought the Lakers found some things offensively, especially when they took the ball out of Luka's hands while he was clearly sick. And I think even when he's 100%, I think the Lakers need to move the ball in the ways that we saw them move the ball when they climbed back into the game. Luka sat down. It was a LeBron Austin group that has typically struggled in this series. That group crawled back into the game. I think they went on a 10 or 13-0 run. That group crawled back into the game, and they did so through ball movement, running sets, organized offense, disciplined defense, everything that you need. Got out in transition a little bit too. That right there, that's the game plan. And if the Lakers abide that game plan for more than like 5 or 6 minute stretches every so often when they feel like it, I think they're a clearly better team than the Minnesota Timberwolves. The problem is they are so nope. No. I'm going to be optimistic here in this segment. I'll rip them a new one and on the other side of the break. But if the Lakers just abide the game plan, if they just stay disciplined on defense, if they just, like the Lakers, I thought in this one didn't do a very good job of when they closed out and ran Minnesota's shooters off of the 3-point line. They did so in completely out of control fashion, and that led to better opportunities after whichever Wolves player attacked that closeout. If they do that a little bit better, they have a better chance in this game too. They did so many things that are completely antithetical to winning this basketball game, and yet they still had a chance to win this basketball game. They had several chances to win this basketball game. And if you just want to look at this through purple and gold glasses and you want to say, you know what, I think the Lakers can still win the series, that's what you point to. The fact that the Lakers did every fucking thing wrong in this series outside of LeBron being incredible. They did, and Austin, I thought, played really well in this one too. He looked a lot more like Austin. Outside of that, almost everything went against the Lakers, and they were still right there. Now, Minnesota pulled away late. I thought the Lakers, frankly, quit on this game late. And that's probably not great either. But still, if you want to just look at this, if you just want to be like just straight homer, if you just want to just curl up in that hopium blanket as you tuck yourself into bed tonight, that's the way you do it. The fact that everything outside of LeBron and Austin went against the Lakers tonight, and they were still right there. If you don't want me, or if you don't want to listen to me rip the Lakers, and you don't want to hear me fly off the handle about this team, enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you Sunday. However, Rui, 7 attempts in this game. 7. Dorian Finney-Smith, 6 attempts in this game. Gabe Vincent, 3 attempts in this game. Gabe only played 16 minutes, which I find really interesting. Goodwin played 12 minutes. He shot the ball 3 times in this game. In a game where Luka wasn't getting up the shots that he would normally get up because he was getting ready to throw up, nobody else was like, all right, I'm going to play with some pride. I'm going to step up here. No role player was like, all right, nobody, because I don't count Austin as a role player. I think he's in that in between star role player area. I've considered him part of the big three, so I'm not going to count him here. So Luka, LeBron, Austin, and Luka was sick. LeBron was incredible. Austin bounced back. Everybody else, man, what are you doing out there? Jared Vanderbilt grabs a rebound and just loses the ball. And then he like whines about it to Dorian Finney-Smith, who's like, I don't know what you just did. And they give up an and one there. Jared Vanderbilt committed 5 fouls. All of them were reckless. All of them. There wasn't a single foul. No, take that back. He had one foul on Rudy where the Lakers gave up a clear drive and dish situation. Rudy goes up for a lob. Vando fouls Rudy. I'm fine with that foul. There's a point to that foul. But everything else that Vando was doing out there was completely out of control. And meanwhile, he's the worst offensive player I've ever watched. So if you're the worst offensive player I've ever seen, and then on top of it, you're hurting your team defensively, then Vando, what the hell are you out there for? I tweeted out a picture of Jared Vanderbilt in a Wolves uniform tonight, hoping that like people are like, oh man, come on, that's a little too far. No. Everybody's like, yeah, basically. That's what we've watched. Jared Vanderbilt played for the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. It was a brutal game. Wolves bench chanting, he with us, the whole game with Jared Vanderbilt. It's been like that the whole, and I've been saying, oh, maybe you got to put him in better situations. Maybe you got to get him lined up against Anthony Edwards. Maybe you got to do this. Maybe you got to do that. I don't think it matters. I don't think he's a NBA player who should make anything more than the minimum. Unfortunately, he makes $13 million, not just next season, but the one after that one. Good job, Rob. And then Rui, at what point are you going to like step up and actually play with some force offensively? At what point are you going to like stop sitting there and wishing that you could maybe get 5 extra seconds on your possession every time you touch the ball and actually a fucking attack? Actually get ready. Like before you catch the ball, have your hands ready, have your feet set so you don't have to take that hop every time you take a shot that lets those great Minnesota defenders back into the play. At what point are you going to adjust? We saw Austin adjust in this one, as I predicted he would in the lowdown game or in the lowdown yesterday. I said Austin's going to study film and he's going to try to prep himself for needing to get the ball in and out of his hands on shots quicker. Guess what exactly we saw from Austin tonight? 5 of 11 from 3-point range tonight for Austin. I thought the Lakers also did a better job moving the ball, getting him the ball with a little bit more space. I thought he was fine. Like I thought that was Austin bouncing back. And yeah, like Kickstaff is saying, I don't care about these BPM stats. I hate analytics. I've crossed the Mendoza line. But Kickstaff, Reaves has a minus 33 BPM in the series. AR is awful defensively, commits too many turnovers, can't drive past decent defenders, not even 38-year-old Conley. Austin either hits threes or he stinks. Okay. Fine. Disagree. But all right, the Conley thing. Here's the funny thing about the Wolves. And kudos to them. But the Wolves do this thing where they foul on every possession. And then anytime the referee calls it, they go, what? Whatever could you be possibly talking about, sir? And that possession that, like, I'm sure you're thinking of, Kickstaff, where Austin had Conley with 5 seconds to go on the wing and he couldn't get by him. Conley literally knocked down Austin Reaves' headband. How do you think that happens, ref? But anyway, to that point, the Lakers were doing this thing early in the game, and this is what has driven me insane watching them this series, where there's a cliche that coaches use when you're growing up playing basketball, which is let the sideline be another defender. Use the sideline as a third defender in a trap. Push the offensive player beyond a sideline, and it's basically like having another defender there. And what the Lakers have basically allowed the Wolves to do, because it takes them so effing long to get into anything, or it did early in this game, later, or as the game went on, they started playing with a little bit more force. They got into their stuff early. But the Lakers basically turned the shot clock into another defender. And I think it was Richard Jefferson literally said, either that or him or Doris Burke. But they basically said, like, yeah, Mike Conley can play. He just basically, all right, he's ISO'd on Austin for 5 seconds there. He knows, all right, I have 5 seconds of defense in me. And at the end of that 5 seconds, Austin has to shoot it no matter what. And I thought he fouled the shit out of him on a couple of those drives. But at the end of the day, like, if you're the Lakers and you keep on giving the Wolves these opportunities to play defense so late into the shot clock, you make an already really good defensive team even better. And that was like, I don't know. I'm now ranting. I don't want this segment to be too long. I got to talk about Luka and the Lakers' approach here with Luka. So not Reaves. JJ Redick says after the game, quote, Doncic hasn't been feeling well for the last 24 hours. He said Doncic was vomiting all afternoon and his sleep was impacted Thursday night heading into game 3 Friday. That's from Dave McMenamin. Here's my thing with that. You know, this guy has been feeling like shit all day. You know, this guy has been puking in the lead up and the run up to the game. You know, this guy didn't have rest. And you're willing to talk about that after the game. Okay. That's context that is worth taking into account. However, if you know all of that, why are you starting the game with Luka ball? The game turned when it was LeBron Austin stuff. And the Lakers looked their best when it was LeBron Austin stuff. And then Luka would come back into the game, and it's because the Lakers don't know what to do with him when he doesn't have the ball. It turned back into Luka ball, and guess what? He feels like shit, and he couldn't do anything. He hit a couple big shots. He hit the kinds of shots. Remember, there was a Vine, or not a Vine, but a TikTok that we made here, and a YouTube short that we made here. That was kind of laughing at the game where I think Luka went 1 of 9 from 3-point range, and the 1 3 that he made was a like 1-footed 3 falling into the stands. Those are the kinds of shots that Luka is so incredible at because he's so physically talented that when he just kind of forgets everything else, he puts on the most brilliant stroke on the ball no matter what. Like, he's just that great of a shooter. And tonight, the shots that he made, especially from 3-point range, were these shots where it was like, all right, I have no choice but to shoot this thing. And I have no choice but to make this shot. And in those opportunities, he made those shots. Luka went 2 of 8 from 3-point range. Look at the 2 threes that he made in this one. Both of them were spectacular. That said, if you know this guy is sick and you have 2 other creators like Austin and LeBron on your team, what are you doing letting Luka dribble the ball for 17 seconds for some of these possessions early in the game? He couldn't turn the corner. Again, I don't think I saw him sweat in this game. I went out tonight to that concert I told you guys about because Avery got the principal's award. I went out tonight and we're sitting outside and I was just sitting there in this humidity. I sweated more in that situation than Luka did tonight. And I don't even know if that's even necessarily a knock. I do think part of me, and I probably shouldn't feel this way, it's a cynical position to take. It's an old school sports fan position to take. But if you're out there, you're out there. And if you can't play, you can't play. And I thought tonight, I didn't like what I saw. He tried to give it a go. He played 40 minutes somehow still. And part of the problem is that the Lakers just don't have any other options. If you remove Luka's 40 minutes from the rotation, do you want more Jackson Hayes? Rui already played 38 minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith played 29 minutes. You want more Jared Vanderbilt? You want Shake Milton out there? I guess Gabe could have played more. But yeah, I like the Lakers just don't have the depth to be able to be like, all right, man, Luka, you don't have it. come on over here. And they had him give it a go. All right, if you're going to do that, fine. Fine. Have him out there. He's going to demand the defense's attention on the weak side of the play. You can maybe set some screens, and he can play decoy, and he'll be more effective as a decoy than like Dorian will be as a shooter. And so I understood not benching him. What I don't understand is LeBron clearly has it going. Ball goes right back to Luka late in the game. Like they couldn't figure out on the biggest possession of the game. You put the ball back in Luka's hands again, and the net result is a LeBron 3 off the side of the backboard because he now has to again be relegated to a catch and shoot 3-point shooter in a game that he was on his way to having one of those incredible LeBron games. He had one of those incredible LeBron games, 38 points, 10 boards, 4 assists, couple steals, couple blocks. Like, he did everything that you needed him to do. He got you there. And then for you to take the ball out of LeBron James's hands to give it to Luka, who might right now be throwing up, it just doesn't make any sense. Where's the coaching discipline there? Where's the understanding of the moment from your coaching staff? It's gone. It's an inheritance to Luka ball in a game that did not call for Luka ball. And frankly, a series that doesn't call for Luka ball. The Lakers looked so much more dynamic when the ball was out of his hands tonight. And I'm saying compared to the rest of the series, not just counting when Luka looked bad tonight. But the Lakers look so much more dynamic, penetrating, kicking out, swing passes, all that stuff. They look so much more dynamic against Minnesota there than they ever have with the stupid matchup hunting offense that they're just apparently dogmatically committed to. But yeah, if you're, again, people get sick, it happens. Don't put the ball in his hands late in the game in a potential season deciding possession. That's just stupid. All right. That was relatively nice, but like I want to return to Rui. I want to return to Dorian. Dorian's quotes after the first game where he's like, "Yeah, I didn't get touches in that first game, and I let that impact my energy out there." Motherfucker, what? Huh? When do you get ISO touches, buddy? You want better shots? Set better screens. You want better shots? Get stops. Get out in transition. Like, I don't think we made a big enough deal out of that Dorian Finney-Smith quote in the beginning. And then, so he plays better in game 2. And he follows that up with another stinker here. I thought he was terrible in this game. He's completely outmatched athletically by Anthony Edwards. And that's not a knock. That's just reality. Everybody is completely outmatched athletically by Anthony Edwards. Okay. But I also thought like he was flat-footed on rebounding. He grabbed 1 rebound tonight. And okay, maybe he's focused more on boxing out. No. They grabbed more offensive rebounds tonight than the Lakers did. I don't know what to say here, man. And German whatever anarchist, like vaya con Dios, sir. Loser. But like, yeah, I'm watching this game and the guys that the Lakers need to get them easy points that are created by the advantages that LeBron and Austin and Luka generate, like those guys. Remember that Houston game? I had a text exchange with Aaron, and his point was basically that like that's what teams are going to do is they're gonna load up on Luka and LeBron and Austin, and they're going to make Gabe, Rui, Dorian, etc. beat you. That's not quite what we've seen here, though, because Minnesota isn't overhelping to the point where they can't recover back to Rui, Dorian, and Gabe. Gabe has gotten some good looks in the series. I think overall, Gabe, of the people that I'm talking about here, Gabe has been, I think, the one of the better players here. But like those guys that the Lakers legitimately rely on for easy points that those guys create, if those guys are, Rui was a minus 19 in this game. Jackson was a minus 13 in 9 minutes. Like how? Gabe was a minus a minus 3 in this one in 16 minutes. And Gabe's minutes, basically, he just walks around and he gets open jumpers if he wants them. It's a tough look here for this this role of, or this rotation of role players, to just Rui no free throws in this game. I wonder what his free throw total is for the series. I don't think he shot very many. Yeah, so Rui's free throw percentage. So he didn't shoot any free throws in game 1, didn't shoot any free throws in game 2. Says he's 100% from the free throw line in game 3. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. So in game 2, he shot 3 free throws. So through 3 games, Rui is averaging 1 more free throw than us. And this is a guy who the Lakers need to play with force, to get downhill, to get to the rim. And I don't know if he's like reluctant to get in there and mix it up because of what happened with his face. I don't know if he just feels uncomfortable because of how quickly Minnesota is closing out to him on these things. But like all of Rui's points can't just come from, he's being isolated against Mike Conley. He has no, like, he's not even able to gain an advantage on Mike Conley. Mike Conley, who spent like the vast majority of the season being watched, they're sticking Mike Conley on him, hoping that the Lakers give him some isolation touches. Then they do, and Luka's like, he's not moving. No. What? And again, like Dorian complaining about touches after game 1, and then saying, I got to have better energy. All right, you have better energy in game 2. Now you have game 3 and you go right back to it. Are you going to say that you also, like, again, were whining about not getting enough touches in this one? It's just, it's maddening to watch LeBron do everything that he did in this game to give the Lakers an opportunity, a legitimate opportunity to win this game. And all they needed was one more decent player outside of LeBron James, who was 40, Austin Reaves, who has spent most of this series, I thought, looking pretty overwhelmed athletically. He bounces back, so you get that in your favor. And outside of those 2 guys and Luka, who again was like curled up in the fetal position at times on the basketball court, all you needed was one more decent player in this one, and you probably win this game. But no, they couldn't even get that. Jackson Hayes is terrible. He just can't play. Good news is Rui Hachimura is expiring at the end of the season. Unfortunately, Jared Vanderbilt isn't expiring at the end of the season. But between Rui and Maxi Kleber, you should be able to turn those 2 guys into at least a pretty good player who you can rely upon in the postseason. Because, man, what we're watching from Rui is just brutal. And I do want to give him credit. I do think he's defending quite a bit better, and maybe he just doesn't have the energy on the other end because of how hard he's defending. Okay, that's context that's worth taking into account. However, Rui is making what, 18 mil a year? Like at 18 mil a year, you're expected to be a 2-way 3-and-D wing. And you gotta offer a lot more than he has offered so far in this series, and especially in this game, which, again, the reason I'm so heated is because we all know, all of you watching, even those of you who are leaving sarcastic comments and all that shit, all of you watching know that the Lakers had a real chance at winning that game tonight and being up 2-1, fighting back to get that home court advantage. LeBron saw the opportunity. He saw it right there. He walked off the court tonight. He was walking through the tunnels there in Minnesota. He clapped his hands. He's like, we missed that one. That was right there for us. And they didn't do the work necessary to go out there and win the game. And kudos to Minnesota for turning over the Lakers to the extent that they did. Kudos to Anthony Edwards, who I thought was absolutely incredible down the stretch of the game. I thought Minnesota, I continue to think that Minnesota, like, I think they'll probably beat Houston or Golden State after this series. And we'll see how it goes for them in the Western Conference Finals if they get past the Lakers here. But even saying that, man, like, it was right there. We all know it too. It was right there, and the Lakers just didn't take it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call it here because it's a Friday night, and I don't want to continue to yell into a microphone. I do have some star comments, so I'll get to those. Anthony, do you play Connect at all? I don't know. The problem is the Lakers already have Austin and Luka, who the Wolves can pick on defensively. And if you add Dalton to that, you're reaching breaking point on the defense there. So I don't think we're going to see Dalton in this series. All right, we do have some super comments here, so I'm going to go ahead and play this. Justin Tyndall writes, AD telling Pelinka told you so. McDaniels averaged 12 a game this year, but has 23 field goals in 2 losses. Braun will be cooked for game 4. Yeah, I'm a little nervous about what LeBron is going to have in the tank after this game. He really let it all out there on both ends of the court. And we saw a couple of years ago him not really able to play back-to-back really hard playoff games. The Lakers don't have an extra day of rest here either. They have tomorrow off, and then we're right back at it on Sunday. So that makes me a little nervous. But yeah, overall, like, in the McDaniels thing, he's been fantastic. Like, if he's going to continue to play like this, like, he scored 30 points in this game, and it was a plus 11. And that's without shooting the ball particularly well from 3-point range, 1 of 5. But he was just going by everybody tonight. And again, playing with force. And that's something that the Lakers' other role players just haven't done. When was the last time you saw any of those guys, Rui, Dorian, Gabe, get anything in the half court that was moving towards the basket? When was the last time you saw that? If they get anything going to the basket, it's in transition. And that happens really rarely. And so long as Jaden McDaniels is so clearly head and shoulders above all of the Lakers role players, yeah, like, it's just really difficult mathematically because you have Anthony Edwards, who I think is outplaying Luka in this series. I think Luka, even despite tonight, has been the second best player in the series. I think Julius is pretty close to LeBron, which hurts to say. Austin has been outplayed by Jaden McDaniels on totals here. Naz Reid has had he hit a couple of huge threes in this game and was really good in game 1. The Lakers just aren't getting the kind of role player production that Minnesota is, and frankly, that's the difference here. Is that those, the stars that the Lakers haven't distanced themselves from the stars that Minnesota has, and then on top of it, the role players for Minnesota are just lapping the Lakers role players. Justin Tyndall writes again, just curious, we drafted a scorer, didn't we? Yeah, I don't think this is a Connect series. I don't think, I think he's probably next year is going to be interesting to see what he's able to bring if he doesn't get traded, obviously. But the Lakers were pretty frustrated with him over the course of the year with his shooting and how inconsistent it was. And if you have somebody who can so easily get picked on defensively, also being inconsistent as a shooter, he's like the inverse of Jared Vanderbilt. So I don't think the Lakers are willing to introduce that variable here where we've seen it, where one player playing one or two too many minutes, either in a tough lineup or minutes that they shouldn't be playing. Those players have really hurt the Lakers. Minnesota goes on a run, and then the Lakers have to get back into it. And I don't think the Lakers are willing to risk it with Dalton. JK Productions writes, Luka trade didn't get rid of the institutional rot in the Lakers. They probably lost this series game one. Teams that win in the West don't give away game one. I wish I didn't agree. But yeah, when I saw game one and the takeaway from game one was, yeah, we just got to play harder. Excuse me? What'd you think you were walking into? And I thought in this one again, I thought they played harder in this one than they did in game one, but they played with such a lack of discipline that it's like it's a different version of the same problem. You're not taking the moment as seriously as you should be, as evidenced by the free throws. Free throws to me are always a great indicator of where a team is at mentally. And when you go 13 of 20 from the free throw range in a playoff game, that indicates to me that there's some other shit going on there. You miss layups and some of the closeouts. Like that's going to be one of the things that drives me the most nuts. I can already tell in my rewatch of this is how out of control the Lakers were when they were closing out, when they just had so much success in the last game, closing out and staying attached. You had these guys just flying by for no reason. And either Wolves players would just dribble to the right or left and shoot the open three-pointer, or they would go right by and it would lead to a lob. But yeah, it's just the combination of in game one, the effort and discipline combination. And in this one, the lack of discipline on both ends of the ball or both sides of the ball. It's just I wouldn't call it organizational rot, but there are some guys here that do got to go. Rui, Vando. I'm not quite there yet on Dorian, but I'm getting there. It's been a bad Dorian series. JK also says, in retrospect, Wolves might have been the worst matchup. Well, this is, again, funny. I texted Aaron before the seeding was even set. I was like, yeah, I think of all the teams that I would least like to play, Wolves are way high up there. And they're big, they're long, they're athletic. They can shoot now. They have enough shooting. I think they're a legit threat in the West. I saw some people saying I've called the series. I'm not calling the series. The Lakers could come back and tie this thing up in game 4. And then you're talking about a 3-game series with home court advantage. That could happen. I'm not saying this thing is over, but if the Timberwolves do beat the Lakers, I think they're a legitimate threat to win not just the West, but potentially at all. Like they're so damn big and physical in a postseason where referees are letting them play the way that they are. Minnesota is legit, and I'll just come and say it in my Lakers in 5 prediction. I don't think I took them seriously enough. I also didn't think that the Lakers would be this reliant on matchup hunting. And I think that's really kind of evened out the series. We have one more here from Mostly Ill. Luka, welcome to the chat. I don't understand how Vando is our best perimeter defender, but JJ has him guarding bigs and Dorian Finney-Smith guards Ant at some point. Switch your scheme, JJ. The problem with Vando, and Matt talked about it in yesterday's show too, but the problem with Vando is he is so out of control and he is so undisciplined. And I think in the regular season, you can get away with just raw energy, but eventually in the postseason, that needs to be directed. It needs to be disciplined. You have to understand not just what you're trying to accomplish defensively, but you also have to try to understand what the team is trying to accomplish defensively. And I think Vando, like I have zero expectation. No, I have less than zero. I'm happy in games where Vando doesn't shoot on the wrong basket at this point. He's that bad defensive or offensively. But when you add to that, you compound that weakness with how undisciplined he is and how little he seems to care for the Lakers game plan with some of the mistakes that he makes and his really poor positioning. Now on top of it, you're an actively detrimental player. And Vando in this game, the numbers say he was a +5. That's what's wrong with plus minus is he was terrible. And yeah, I don't know what the Lakers do here because I maybe you play Goodwin in his minutes in Vando's minutes, and you let Goodwin guard Anthony Edwards. The problem there, I think the reason the Lakers like Dorian on Ant is because he's taller and Ant can't get as clean a look on Dorian as over the top of Dorian from deep as he can get against Jordan Goodwin, who I think has the foot speed at least to match up with him. But yeah, the Vando thing is just yeah, I don't have any answers there. I think you got to bench him and play Hayes more. And Hayes sucks too, so I don't know. I don't know what you do there. Jordan Goodwin, come on down. Can't be connect because of the reasons I talked about. Markieff is washed. Alex Len is washed. This is where it kind of hurts not converting Koloko or Jemison just to have another pitch that you might be able to throw. But with Len, you can't throw that pitch. He's terrible. I don't think he's going to be in the NBA next year. So yeah. It sucks. It sucks. And it's even worse that Vando isn't even expiring this year. So you can't even turn him into a productive NBA player after the season either. All right. That's going to do it for a hopefully cathartic Lakers Lounge podcast. No lowdown tonight because it's Friday night and I'm just done yelling into a microphone over this, but I will break this up into 2 parts because of how long we went. And I will go ahead and enjoy my Saturday tomorrow. Avery plays a soccer game, and that'll bring me a lot more joy than this did. But to those of you who stuck through this, 2,000 people watching right now, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Please tell your friends about the show as well. And until the next time you guys hear from us, I'm Anthony Irwin. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great rest of your night. And we'll chat after Sunday. We'll see how that goes. Have a good one, everybody.